Welcome into TU Swimming and Diving Chat with Coach Noah Moran, and he's brought in a couple guests with him today. He's got Matt Campbell and Matt Laporta. Matt, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Coach, how are you?
Doing well, Matt. Thanks.
Yeah, that was my bad. You can tell it's my first time hosting here. Russ has let me have that. So Matt, what's your guys' events? What do you do? Laporta, let's go ahead.
I swim all the free distance events, so the 500,000 mile.
He's pretty cheap.
Pretty cheap. How about you, Mr. Campbell?
I guess I focus on breaststroke and whatever coach decides I need to be in that week.
So, with these two, is it are they telling the truth, or is it more of placing where you need them?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Matt Laporta has been kind of our anchored distance person. He's a sophomore this year, so last year was great having him in. Had a couple of incidents, let's say, last year that kind of kept him out of the pool, but he still swam phenomenally at the end of the year. Probably better than I think he actually really thought he was going to. So I know he's really excited about what's going to happen at the end of this year, as am I. Matt Campbell has been he's one of our seniors, so again, one of the guys who's kind of started the program. Had to kind of rope him back in last year a little bit, but Matt's actually been able to allow us to do different things with him. He was, the only person for us last week, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago or so, that swam the 400 IM, kind of, that one dreaded event that we were talking about before. But his ability to kind of do some sprinting stuff has allowed us to move him around, and swimming breaststroke as well has kind of helped us with getting some points that we've really needed. So,
well, Matt Laporta, with being a distance swimmer, is it mind? Is it fighting the mental aspect of it, or is it more the
Matt's
physical
always
aspect
fighting the mental aspect.
Yeah. What's tougher for you? Is it just the thought of just one more lap, or is it really the physical portion of the training that gets to you more?
I guess it's really a combination of both, but maybe more on the mental side.
Okay. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of information about you? Where are you from, high school, and whatnot? What brought you to TU?
I'm from Livonia, Michigan. It's about 2 hours away. East side. I went to Stevenson High School, and I guess really just like what got me here was just like doing recruiting, like applications and stuff, and then I came for a visit once just to check things out, and then ended up coming back and staying overnight. And just like as soon as I left, like on my way home, I knew like this is where I wanted to go. I don't know. Gotcha.
Now talk a little bit about the change in coaching staff, and then also the transition last year of you finding out what Coach Moran expected of you, and how you adjusted his coaching style versus the previous coach's style.
I guess like really it was maybe a combination of coaching styles from my high school and club team, so I guess it was like kind of brought the best of both, so I didn't really have too much trouble kind of figuring it out, I think.
Matt, I know Matt's high school and club coach, I'd like to say fairly well, having coached one of them, and both of them came from the same program I did. So, our backgrounds are somewhat similar. We learned basically under the same mentor. So it made things really easy for me, knowing that Matt's background and being able to say, okay, Matt, I know you can do this. Hey, we're doing animal kick. I mean, his eyes just light up when we do that set. He knows what that set is. Everybody else is kind of like, what? Oh God, why are we doing this? And Matt understands that right away. So. But Matt never actually swam with the previous coach. Matt Campbell did, so I'll be very interested to hear what he has to say here.
Go ahead, Matt.
On the coaching staff change?
Yeah. Was that tough for you from your standpoint? Was it a tough change? Or?
No, I think it was okay for majority of the people. Were fine with it. I mean, sure, people were like kind of sad for a while, but people decided,
you got to move on.
You got to move on, exactly.
That's right.
And I like the way things go now. Personally, better than before. So.
That's all that matters. That says it all right there, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mr. Campbell, you're more of a a sprinter swimmer, I suppose, as opposed to distance, right?
Yeah, I cut off at the 200 range probably, except for the 4 IM, I guess.
So in your training aspect of it, is it just figuring out when to turn it on as opposed to just when to let it go? Do you just not start too fast? You don't wear yourself out early? Is that tough for you to try and figure out when's the best time for me to let it loose?
Yeah, recently I've been trying to learn how to pace myself, because usually I'll kill the first 50 and then it's after that fatigue sets in.
Okay.
So recently I've been working on that, so hopefully by the end of season we'll be where I need to be.
Yeah, I think that's something we kind of tried to work on with everybody. You know, one of the things I felt like we didn't do a great job last year was really understanding how I wanted everybody to swim their races. And normally that comes in through kind of our threshold work. And I just never felt like as a team that we really got that. So I made some adjustments this year. Instead of having, you know, kind of 2 threshold training days, we have 1 threshold and then what I call 1 pace day. They happen to do one of those pace days yesterday, and Matt Laporta is smiling because maybe there's a surprise for everybody else later today. I don't think it's as big a surprise as he thinks, but you know, I think it'll help everybody get a better sense of what they need to do when it actually comes to the not only, you know, each day, but throughout the whole week and throughout the whole year. Actually, it makes a significant difference if you know, hey, I've already done this in practice, and yeah, I'm tired, but you know, I've done this, and then I had another, you know, 450s. I had to do the same thing again. So they can just kind of roll through it a lot simpler, a lot easier, and not have to question whether they're actually able to do anything.
You know,
Matt, that's part of it.
Matt, tell folks out there where you're from, your high school, and what brought you to TU.
Oh, I'm from East Liverpool, Ohio. It's like 3 hours east on the Ohio River. My high school is East Liverpool Potters, so we don't really have a huge swimming background. We had like a newer program also. So, and our coach used to be a football coach, so we didn't have a proper swimming coach either. So, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to do some athletics in high school like most of my family did. So I went on a few visits. Tiffin was my last visit, and I guess I just got sold on that then.
Okay, so I guess when you came to Tiffin, you were trying to learn the more technical side of swimming once you got here to try and compete at the collegiate level.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your previous quad meet you had, the Ashland quad meet. Coach,
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about where your team finished and how you thought they did.
You know, as far as times and everything, it was really about what I expected. It was, you know, maybe a little bit better. We had some phenomenal swims from some people. We had some swims from other people that kind of, you know, lost their head and really weren't doing what we had, you know, kind of talked about, you know, leading up to that point. But, you know, that's okay. I expect us to do that, particularly when, you know, it's the first event of the year. You know, maybe for some of them, first time they're swimming in the collegiate environment. You get different people that are at different points in their season, and you know, maybe they're going to be out in front of you, and you know, hey, you feel really good, but you know, this is all part of that learning process. So I was generally pretty happy with how we did. You know, placing wise, you know, that's just not a big concern for us right now. We're building our program. There's no question about that. But I think that's one of the things that we're understanding is that we're getting to the end of that point in time, and you know. From here forward, we are going to be taking not just, you know, millipede steps, but we're going to be taking leaps and bounds forward.
So let's talk about how you guys did, how you thought you did. Mr. Campbell, go ahead and start it off. How did you think you did there at the quad meet?
Well, I swam the 400 IM for the first time in my life. And
that in itself is a big accomplishment, just to finish, I would think.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was a lot with pacing with that thing, too, because I'd done the 2 IM earlier that day in an okay time, I guess, but I was honestly more tired after the 2 IM than it was the 4 IM because I think I had my pacing pretty well in the 4 IM. I just didn't go out the way I needed to, so that's why things didn't go as planned, but it wasn't terrible.
Well, for your first time, at least you have an idea of what to do next time. It's good experience for you, and you can even take that experience from that event and put it into the 200.
I could not possibly say it any better than that.
There you go. I'm not a coach.
That means there's the next time, right?
Yeah, probably 2 more times.
Okay, Matt Laporta, let's talk about your events and how you did at the quad meet.
I guess I was pretty happy with how I swam. I think it was I guess like a good point to like see where I was. I mean, I know I have work to do, so.
What event did you do?
I did the 1,000, the 500, and the 200.
So you're pretty busy then.
Yeah.
A lot of swimming in that. So, Coach, how, in your eyes, how these two gentlemen perform?
I was really thrilled with Matt Campbell's 400 IM. Having the first time that he actually swam it. It was an event where we talked about it ahead of time and kind of had a time in mind. I thought that was a pretty aggressive time to begin with, and I think he kind of recognizes that now maybe, but it was one of those things where that was a great learning swim for him. He is going to be able to take that and, like you said, be better in the 200 IM as well. It's going to be better for a 200 breaststroke when he swims that.
I don't know if he's
as he makes the pain face of what
right now. You're putting a lot on him.
But I mean, those are things that maybe he's not going to swim the 200 breaststroke at the end of the year. But I just oh, the joy.
But you must be tough, Coach. You really must be.
Yeah, I think I'm the hardest person in the world. No, I just think that it's one of those things where we learn how to swim a whole bunch of stuff. I want to be able to. I want these guys to be able to understand that what we're doing now also is going to translate to what we do outside of the pool after we graduate. And 400 IM is not an event that everybody loves, and sometimes we just need to have people do it. And the fact that Matt stepped up and did it, great. The fact that he actually swam in a reasonable time and did, like he was saying, kind of pace it out, not quite the times we were talking, but do it actually in the way that we were talking. That was a good sign for me. That says to me that they really are starting to understand what's going on in the practice world.
It must be exciting for you. Like you said, they're starting to take what you've given them and apply it to their actual events. So now you're prepping and training this week, and the weekend you have your first home event.
Yeah.
You'll be welcoming in Gannon. Talk a little bit about what this the preparing and training aspect has been the last couple weeks, and then talk a little bit about the meet as well coming up.
Yeah, so we're kind of ending our first phase of training here. Whether these guys know that or not, I don't know. You guys have all this information.
It was on the email.
Yeah. Remind that to everybody.
Right?
Yeah,
they're looking at their email.
At least Matt is. Yeah. So I mean, the fact that we're ending this training cycle, we're going to start doing a little bit more aggressive work. Let's say, starting next week and stuff. But this is basically just an aerobic phase, just kind of getting everything, getting our base set, really understanding what we need to do. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. I think the last 2 weeks have been kind of that, what I like to call kind of aerobic plus level. I think would argue, yeah, I've got levels for everything, right? I think that they would argue that maybe it's been a little harder than they'd like, but again, I think this is why we're going to be successful at the end of the year. I will still argue that we had the best meet out of any of the GLIAC schools at that meet. I think on the fourth day we outswam a whole lot of teams. It doesn't necessarily show that, but at least not on the points. But I do feel like we swam better than anybody else. Really across the board.
Well, like you said, mostly it's about how you see it. The progression of your team and your swimmers as well. So let's talk about your guys' portion of the prepping and training. Coach Moran said aggressive as you move forward. Does that worry you at all, or?
Oh, I expected it to come.
Yeah, you expected that?
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just trust him. So I don't know. The training worked last year, so.
You got a trust built up with Coach that hopefully he doesn't worry you out too much.
We try not to do that, yes.
Well, let's talk about the Gannon meet at home. Talk a little bit about your opponent, and just going forward from there, we'll take a look at the schedule real quick. So go ahead and give us a little info on Gannon.
Yeah, no, I mean, Gannon was a team that we swam last year. We went there, and we clearly didn't look like we were great last year when we went there for a whole variety of reasons. We still swam well. I was actually really happy with how we responded at that meet. Matt, actually, both of you guys didn't get to swim that meet, right?
Nope.
Yeah, and so this is a meet where this is a team that not only I think can we compete against? But I think eventually we're going to, at least I hope, no offense to them, but I think we can beat them.
You have to have that mindset.
Yeah.
Going in.
Yeah, and if we do that this weekend, great. If we don't, then that's fine too. But I want to put out the best lineup that we can. They have a little bit more traditional, or they've had a little bit more of a history with their program than we have. They're kind of set in what they've got. It's going to be interesting on the guys' side. On the women's side, I think we're just short bodies, but I think we're moving in a very positive direction. I think our recruiting weekends will even say that we've been moving in a very positive directions. Yeah. It's just now getting people signed on that dotted line, basically. But I think this is going to be a good. I don't really consider the Ashland Quad I mean, it's our first competition, but I kind of look at that as more of a tune-up, and I look at this as more of our first meet to really see where we're at. I think that both these guys are actually going to swim pretty well, even though I know that they both feel like they're pretty tired. I think they feel like both dry land days so far this week have been way harder than they should have been.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, wait for today, right? I swear Matt Laporta should be our fundraising event period. All we need to do is put him up on a stage in Osceola and just charge admission, and people would die laughing. Just got to watch him for 5 minutes. But this is going to be a good test for us, and we'll see where we're at.
That'll be at 1:30 at the YMCA or in Tiffin. Coach, we'll let these two young men get out of here. We have two more guests as well that we'll be bringing in. As Olivia Salome was one of those, and now you also have a new guest. So we'll go ahead and bring them in. Guys, thank you for coming on with us today. No problem. Thank you, guys.
So along with Olivia, this is Lucas. I don't even know if I want to try to do the entire last name, but Lucas Marige. If I got that right.
Well, Olivia and Lucas, how are you guys?
Good.
Good. Well, go ahead and put your headphones on there and scoot a little close to the mic for me.
That'll make it easier for you.
So both of you are Brazilian, correct?
Yes.
That's what I hear?
From Brazil, yes.
Okay, well, Olivia, let's start with you. Why did you come to TU?
Because the swimming program.
Just swimming. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, what's your major?
My major is international business.
Okay. What's your plans after graduation? What do you want to do?
Get a job in a company, and I don't know.
Is your plans to go back to Brazil?
No, I want to stay here.
Okay, Lucas, how about you? What brought you to Tiffin University?
It was actually the other Brazilian, Igor. So I was looking at colleges, and when I saw that he was here, I was like, well, I could feel like home because there's already another Brazilian there. So then I came here, and I actually liked the environment, and I enjoyed it.
Okay, what's your major?
International business as well.
So do you want to stay here as well, or would you like to go back to Brazil and find a job?
I'm not sure going back to Brazil, but I don't want to stay here. I want to travel and get to know other places as well.
Okay. Now, what's your event, Lucas? What do you swim?
I'll swim the 1500 free and the 200 free against my will. but I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm starting to enjoy it.
Well, that's good, I guess. Olivia, how about you? What's your event?
100 free, 200 free, 50 free, and I guess 100 back. But
so you're pretty busy. It sounds like you sound like you're pretty busy. Well, Coach, why don't you give us a little bit more background information on these characters?
Olivia, I'll start with the lady first. Olivia, has already started talking about maybe swimming the 500 free as opposed to the 100 backstroke. So we're gonna, maybe test that out this
Big
weekend.
Step up.
Yeah, I think that actually fits better with what she's able to do. I think she's always kind of been scared away from it. Tried to push her towards that a little bit last year, but I just don't think that she was comfortable, having to swim anything over a 200. But both of them actually are probably more in that middle distance area than they are sprinting, despite what they want to believe. So that's always a struggle. Everybody always wants to be a sprinter. But I think Olivia's got a great range through the 500. In reality, if she wanted to swim a great 1,000, she could.
That's what I say. I saw the look on her face.
But
I don't know if the want is there.
Yeah, that's the big part of the problem. But so she allows us to do a whole lot of different things, and I'm pretty excited about what she's doing. She's already swum some phenomenal times this year. Actually, I was pretty disappointed that she wasn't Athlete of the Week after our Ashland Quad. She won 2 individual events and was second in the other event, where I think she got touched out by the 1700s, something like that. So it wasn't that she was far off or anything like that. But in my eyes, she should have been Athlete of the Week for the GLIAC on the women's side. I was very disappointed in that. And actually, kind of the same thing with Lucas. He was my nomination for on the men's side for Athlete of the Week. I think he was, if I remember right, second in one event, third in another event, and I think 7th in the 200. I think he's better in the 200 than he recognizes right now. But we'll talk about that, off camera and everything. Talk. So I think both of them are pretty well set with what they're going to swim with kind of going back and forth a little bit with Olivia on the 100 back, 500 free. Sometimes I think she just is going to need that mental break of not having to swim the 500. Okay. So
now, quick question for you two, since from a person that doesn't really follow swimming a lot, is the Brazilian history of swimmers, is it a fairly long history or a very successful history? Is it popular sport in Brazil?
And it's not as of a popular sport because we have soccer, and soccer takes over everything in Brazil.
Okay.
But it's actually a pretty good sport that people lean towards. But we don't have like a good success history, but we have like some people that were like pretty expressive.
Yeah, Brazil's got a great history. Actually, I mean they really do, and they are getting better. I think as a nation, they might say they were disappointed in the swimming, at least from the Olympics, but they actually did pretty well. They didn't get a medal, at least, they didn't get a medal in swimming, but they actually had, I think, more people not only participating, but more people getting into those finals as opposed to in the past, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a significant difference. It is incredibly difficult to get on that level and be on that level. Part of my time in Turkey just kind of reinforced that in reality. That's what they're trying to do. They're going through kind of the early stages of that process right now, and it was very interesting to see where they really thought they were in relationship to where they actually are, and I think actually Brazil is above where they were. But they have an old sprinter by the name of Gustavo Borges, who swam at the University of Michigan, who I think that would probably be what you guys consider the start of swimming in your country. Mm-hmm. This was mid 80s, mid 80s, early 90s, probably when he was at his prime. World record holder, silver medalist, I think. Did he get the gold? I can't remember.
I don't think he got the gold.
Yeah, I think it was a silver medal. But I mean, incredibly great guy on top of that too. And his his coach from back then as well. I mean, just really a start of Brazilian swimming back then.
Now, did either of you get to go to the Olympics this year?
No.
Neither of you?
No. Just watch through the television.
Hey, that's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So moving forward towards the Gannon meet, why don't you talk to each one about what they need to work on going forward and what you've had them work on through this training period?
So let's start with you, Lucas. What do you feel like we've done, kind of over the last couple of weeks? I mean, I think we've kind of pulled you away from doing just that sprint stuff, right? We've kind of moved you back and forth, and a little bit of kind of the longer stuff, making you feel more comfortable with your stroke.
Yeah, I myself, I think I recognized that I needed to kind of work on the longer stuff so I could improve my technique. I was having some problems with that, and I feel like we've been putting a lot of work on our swimming, so I feel prepared to this meet this weekend.
Go ahead, Olivia.
I don't
What have you been working on? What's your main
I mean,
thing you've been working on? Is it pace? Is it technique? What is it?
Pace.
Yeah.
I love pace.
Well, speak to that. What is pace? Is it swimming long distances and trying to stay consistent with your times, or is it just figuring out when it's time for you to swim that faster 50?
It is swim hard, fast, and do the maximum.
So when we talk pace work, what we're really talking about being very consistent with going a certain time over a certain distance. So sometimes that could be for a 25, and we want to match. Essentially, if we want to go this time, so say we want to go a minute in whatever event, there's generally is kind of a certain way to swim that, and so if we want to hit that time, then we have to know what it takes to go that minute. So we'll focus on, if it's the 500, okay, Olivia, then you need to know what it feels like on that on the 500. That's 20 laps. She needs to know what it feels like on that last 200, what she's got to go. So she wants to try to match that in practice, and we might do 1050s where she has to kind of match that speed or that time, or get somewhere close to that, and that's where I felt like last year we still swam well, but we weren't quite really hitting those times the way we wanted to. So I think this is how we've kind of changed some of that, and again, it makes people swim a little bit faster. It makes them kind of feel like they're getting ready for that race, and I think that's why Olivia really likes that stuff a lot.
Okay, well, another question for these two that have had so much success here early. Is it more of keeping them in the same event they are to have that success, or do you try and plug them into spots where you may be a little bit weaker?
Last year I probably would move them around a little bit more. I think this year I don't think we're going to do that quite as much. I'd still like to throw Lucas in a 500, but he's pretty against that. Olivia actually has been a little more willing to do stuff like that, where she swam the 100 back, the 200 back. I think she swam.
What?
You swam the 200
back? No, never.
I had you swim it last year. Well, maybe that was before. Maybe that was the first semester.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you can have her do it this year.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt. Keep telling them.
Okay.
That.
Well, I think you're doing a good job here with these guys.
Yeah. No. I hope so. I mean, I'm pretty happy.
It sounds
with how
like they've had a lot of success early.
Early success is great, but I really want to have that success at the end of the year. I think that's where we're looking at. Lucas was top 8 in 2 of the individuals, and in the 200 you were 14th. Yeah. I think he can easily be top 8 in the 200 free. I hope he understands that. I hope he gets that confidence and then actually does that as well. But I think he can also be better in where he was top 8 in the 50 and the 100. Same thing with Olivia. I think she can be significantly better than she was last year. And I think she recognizes that now as well. So hopefully we kind of push everybody forward, because I know that they're doing that in practice. People are watching them do what they're doing, going to the meets, seeing how well they're doing, and so when they get back to practice, it's like, hey, well, wait a minute, these guys swam well. What are they doing? Well, I got to do that same stuff, and so we're just kind of on that upward spiral. I'm pretty positive about where we're at, and want to continue the success that these guys have already started.
Well, we've talked before, off air, the times that you showed me when the big events, events matter, your team really shows up. Now it's just a matter of finding the consistency throughout the year.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how, and I think I've told these guys this quite a bit. I'm really happy with where we finished last year and how we did things. Again, stats you can manipulate and play around with, and say whatever you want about them, but we did pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how we did. For these guys, it really is, how can we improve on that? How can we kind of keep how can we show everybody else that we are moving forward as a program?
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us here on TU Swim and Dive
for
Chat.
having us.
No problem. It was nice for you guys to come on, Coach. Best of luck at Gannon this coming weekend.
You.
Hopefully you guys bring home a W there as you prepare. Then after that, you go to Ball State, right?
Yeah, that'll be a really interesting meet for us. Know that program fairly well. have a lot of respect for both the coaches there. Bob Thomas, particularly on the men's side, has been a very good coach for a long time, and that's going to be a great meet for us.
Well, this has been your look at the TU swim and dive team. As like I said, we had Olivia and Lucas join us. We had the two Matts earlier with us, and Coach, as always, thanks for bringing these guys in. And we'll do it a week and a half.
Yeah, something like
2
that.
2 weeks maybe. So, like I said, that's been your look at Tiffany University swimming and diving. They'll be at home this Saturday, 1:30 at the YMCA. If you want to come out and take a look and cheer them on as they take on Gannon, guys, thanks for coming on with us, and best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Well,